August 1932. A ship docks quietly in New York Harbor, but one man doesn't disembark like the others. No cameras, no reporters, no name. He slips out through a freight hatch, using an alias. Professor Skinner. That man is Montagu Norman, Governor of the Bank of England, at the time possibly the most powerful financial figure on earth. Why would a man like that travel like a fugitive? Because what brought him to America was never meant to be seen. Not by governments, not by voters, not by you. Behind the roaring parties of the 1920s, behind the illusion of prosperity, a handful of men were quietly redesigning the global economy, and in the summer of 1927, they would make a decision so dangerous, it would ignite a financial chain reaction that ended in the Great Depression. To understand the coup, you have to understand the collapse. Before 1914, the world ran on gold. Stable, predictable, controlled. The British pound ruled global trade, backed by an empire that never seemed to fall. Then came World War I, and everything broke. Europe was left in ruins, empires shattered, currencies destroyed, and the United States went from debtor to the world's largest creditor almost overnight. Billions flowed across the Atlantic. But with it came resentment. Europe called America Uncle Shylock, a ruthless lender demanding repayment while the continent starved. And behind the scenes, a new system was forming, not run by nations, but by central bankers. They called themselves nothing, but history would remember them as the Lords of Finance, 4 men, 4 central banks, one unofficial alliance that operated beyond governments. Montagu Norman, obsessed with restoring Britain's lost dominance. Benjamin Strong, head of the New York Fed, brilliant, dying, and dangerously influential. Hjalmar Schacht, the German wizard who stopped hyperinflation. Emile Moreau, a nationalist French banker who distrusted them all. They didn't answer to voters. They didn't need approval. They met in private and moved the world. In 1922, at Genoa, they made their first move, a quiet change with massive consequences. Instead of holding gold, countries could now hold currencies like the dollar or pound as reserves. It sounded efficient. It was anything but. This was the real coup, because now the United States could effectively create paper gold, expanding money without expanding actual reserves, exporting inflation to the rest of the world at the same time. Montagu Norman made a fatal decision. He forced Britain back onto gold at an unrealistic pre-war rate. The result? British exports collapsed, workers were crushed, the economy suffocated, and still he refused to back down. So he turned to one man, Benjamin Strong. Norman had a problem. The British pound was failing, France was draining gold reserves, Germany was unstable, and Britain was on the edge. He had 2 choices: raise interest rates and destroy his own economy, or convince America to sacrifice theirs. He chose the second, and Benjamin Strong agreed. July 1927, a private estate on Long Island. No official records, no press access. The meeting was disguised as a duck hunt, but this was one of the most important financial summits in history. Strong didn't invite the Federal Reserve Board. This wasn't policy. This was personal. Inside that room, the future of the global economy was decided. France and Germany warned against it. They knew what would happen. But Strong pushed forward anyway, driven by loyalty, by urgency, and by a belief he could control the outcome. The decision: lower U.S. interest rates, flood the system with cheap money, send capital back to Britain, save the pound. Strong himself called it a little coup de phony. The effects were immediate. Money became cheap, credit exploded, and Wall Street caught fire. Stocks didn't just rise, they went vertical. Ordinary people piled in, buying on margin, borrowing to speculate. A system built on illusion, fueled by policy. Meanwhile, Benjamin Strong, the architect of it all, was dying. In October 1928, he was gone, and with him, the only man holding the system together. Without Strong, the system fractured. The Federal Reserve panicked. They raised interest rates, trying to stop the very bubble they had created. But under the gold system, every country had to follow. Global tightening, global contraction. Then, October 1929, the market cracked. Panic selling, margin calls, collapse. $30 billion wiped out in days. Banks failed. Money supply collapsed by nearly a third. The system didn't bend, it broke. By 1931, Britain abandoned the gold standard. The pound lost its throne, and the dollar took its place. The coup was complete. Not through war, not through politics, but through policy, through coordination, through secrecy. The United States became the center of global finance, and the system built in the shadows became permanent. In 1930, they formalized it. The Bank for International Settlements, a central bank for central banks, still operating today, still largely unseen. This wasn't an accident, it wasn't chaos, it was a chain of decisions, made by a small group of men, operating outside public accountability. They didn't intend to crash the world, but they believed they could control it. That belief was the real risk, and it didn't disappear. Today, the global system still depends on coordinated central bank actions, still relies on reserve currencies, still balances between liquidity and instability. The same tension exists. Stabilize one system, and you may destabilize another. The same dilemma remains. When policy becomes concentrated, risk becomes systemic. The lesson wasn't fully learned, because the structure was never dismantled. Look at any central bank today, any interest rate decision, any emergency intervention, and you'll see it. The echo of 1927, the ghost of Benjamin Strong, the shadow of Montagu Norman, a reminder that the most powerful decisions in the world are often the ones you never see. If this changed how you see the system, then you already feel it. That moment when you realize the rules were never what they seemed. So here's the question: was this stability or control? And if it happened once, could it happen again? Comment your thoughts below. Like the video if you want more deep investigations like this, and subscribe to World Power Files, because the real stories of power are never the ones you're told.